Alright, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what I've got going on here. I already skipped a bunch of steps and did a bunch of things. It's actually all back together now. So the first step I had to do was put it into time before taking anything apart. And believe it or not, the pin, the crank pin plug, actually broke off in the block. So I wasn't able to get that out. Alternatively, I wasn't taking the intake cam off, so I referenced everything off the intake cam, put it into time, got everything lined up. This was all staying put. And then if you look, where is it? It's hard to see. Down on the crank, you can see those two little yellow marks lined up with those two edges on the block. So I just used that as a reference. I marked these just because I came across and marked that. I wanted to know which, put it right back on the same tooth. Originally, if I were putting these on, I would have put these tabs up on both sides, but I don't know if somebody else, you can see it's down there. I don't know if somebody else had this apart before me or not, but either way, it wasn't put together that way, so I just am putting everything back the way it was. You can see I got another timing mark there just to be safe. And coming to the back, you can see we got the new valve spring in, got a new roller arm on there and a new lifter. I pulled the lifters out of the donor engine that this tray and cam came out of. So I swapped out some of the roller arms and some of the lifters that felt the best, at least. And then, so yeah, reverse order, going back together. I don't know if I didn't quite have this cam timed perfectly when I put it in. It's important, if you're doing this, to go ahead and put this tool on before tightening your clamshell down. It was actually pushing the exhaust open because it was turned back just a little bit. It's got a tipping point right there, so it wants to flip, basically. But I took the tray back out again, put the timing tool on. Hopefully there's no bent valves on the back. I've scoped it, but I can't really tell, so we'll just have to see how it runs after here. And then you can see all of these are torqued down. My tip for these is these has to turn 30 degrees. It goes to, you do your pre-torque in inch pounds, and then so each one of these lobes is 30 degrees, right? 30, 60, something like that. Or each one of those lobes is 60 degrees. And yeah, that's right. It's because it's 60, 120, 180. So I marked my socket. I don't have the socket in front of me. But either way, you start in the middle, work your way out, putting it together. These kept tightening down, so I pretty well stopped at just over 50 inch-pounds. It's supposed to go up to 124 or so, something about 120 or so. They're over 50. They feel very tight, and I'm honestly worried that they're going to break if I tighten them anymore. So maybe I just didn't clean. I know I didn't clean those holes out, so these specifically, cleaned all the rest of them out. So maybe there's some oil in there that's causing it to slip a little more. And then for the front, you can see I marked the bolt, and then I couldn't see anything else, so I marked that. That's supposed to go 180 on the second torque value. So I marked the edge of the bolt, and then I marked the opposing side right there. And then I had to mark my whole socket so I could tell where it was turning. And got all that torqued down. Obviously you need to put your tensioner in before doing that. The tensioner is, well, it's down in there right there. You can see the edge of it down in there. So at this point, I believe everything is tensioned. You can see that's very tight. Everything's tensioned and back together. I believe everything's torqued down. So I'm gonna take a break and think about all this before I start putting the valve cover back on, and hopefully have a running engine after this. So stay tuned. I forgot to mention, you would not believe how I got that valve spring in there. So obviously the cam and the tray were out of the way, but I couldn't really get any tools in there. I couldn't even get something to, like, you know, one of those hammer ones that you just kind of impact it on with a sudden dead blow real quick. I couldn't get anything down in there. So what I ended up doing was actually I compressed the valve spring using some big channel locks. I wrapped the teeth up so I wouldn't damage the spring, and then I compressed it with the channel locks, and I took 2 zip ties, and each time I just tightened down one side and then the other. It wasn't easy either, but I got the thing compressed down as much as possible, and I was able to seat the spring down in there, hold the valve up, and slip the retainers in. And then I held the whole thing up to keep tension on the top of it so it wouldn't come flying apart, and broke the zip ties. And of course, I don't really recommend doing that, because then I had zip tie debris that just blew apart all inside of there. I even had a little sliver of zip tie that was inside. It was literally inside of the valve spring. So I had to take I got the inspection camera going. So I had to take the camera and look down on the side right there and take a pick and another piece of zip tie to guide it out, because it wouldn't come just straight out. And I was able to feed it up and pull the piece of zip tie out. I then actually had a little piece that was like, you can see how it coils up tighter at the bottom, and I had a little chunk that was stuck inside the spring in the bottom, so I had to take the pick and keep sliding the piece out towards the looser coils and then turn the whole spring, and just keep doing that until I got it to fall out, and pulled it out with a rag. And there was a couple little pieces down inside of there I had to clean out too, but you know, provided I didn't bend any valves at any point in this process, I think this may just work. So we'll see.